Hi Scorpio, here is a general look at your solar chart for April 2016. Now I would say practical knowledge is going to be a real theme this month. There's going to be an element of surprise as well, you know, where you're having to be adaptable and sort of go with the flow. Change energy is here, and also you actively engaged, maybe adding a new string to your bow. But there's a certain amount of there is a little bit of uncertainty, not only for your sign, actually, it's for all of the signs in April. So looking at some astro notes for April, we've got Uranus and Pluto going over the Sun, the degree of the Sun, or all of them crossing over each other anyway, up until the 12th. That'll be Uranus, that'll be Pluto first and then Uranus to follow. So up until that kind of changing around energy going on there, and you having to pull, you having to pull a rabbit out of the hat to figure out how to do something, or indeed you're learning something as well. And then we have a new moon in your area, practical skills, repairs, maintenance. So you might be more involved this month in things like repairing and maintaining and just kind of bodging, fixing up, but also it might not be like that. It might be that you are just having to deal with a lot of little details and getting organized, getting your act together, and that can be reflected through work, chores, or health, yours or somebody else's, health orientated, or it could be a sort of a mixture of them all. We've got a new moon from the 7th. Now this new moon is significant enough for me to mention, because this one's in Aries and it's conjuncting Uranus and it's coming very near the degree of Pluto, and also we're getting a really nice beam of light coming across from Saturn, a very supportive beam of light there. So for you, this can be new beginnings with work. This could be new beginnings with skills or training or maintenance or repairs, any of that practical side, unpackaging itself from that April the 7th point. But also because Uranus is involved here, Pluto's involved, there will be the element of refreshing, maybe renewing, renovating, recharging, regenerating, whether that is actual physical objects or your organism as a physical object, or indeed somebody else that you're concerned about. So it can be in that vein, right? And changes in the air, particularly where maybe your scheduling is concerned, your routines are concerned, the work is concerned, the skills you're using, the skills you're learning, maybe it's about remedies, therapies, maybe it's about, as I've said before, maintenance, repair, that kind of thing. Changes in the air, lots of little details in that area there for you. Remember to be flexible. You're going to have to be adaptable, hang loose, feel the way, the current is flowing. And whatever you do, don't be hasty, don't get sort of, restless or precipitate in your actions, where you could, you feel stressed, you've got too much going, and then you trip over your own shoelaces, or you trip over somebody else's, or somebody else trips over theirs because of you in some way, or whatever it is. But that's an analogy, of course. So having said all that, so we've covered all of the precautionary area. I would say that this is a very good time for you to bring out your independence, your originality, you shine your unique creativity through work, through the training, through whatever it is, through the maintenance, through the repairs, through the co-workers, through the health matters. Bring that to the fore, because there are progressive new trends to be had there. So the new moon energy, yeah, that'll be unfurling its petals over this coming, the subsequent month from April the 7th, right, through that work, practical work type area, practical health type area. So there's progressive trends there. There's Saturn there, and now Saturn will be programmed into that new moon energy. And so that gives stability. So because too much Uranus, and it's very volatile, it's like a live wire, but we do have Saturn giving it that deep keel in under the boat in like a bit of a choppy sea, or stabilizes, you see. So Saturn likes consistent effort, but this is progressive as well, so consistent effort towards that future goal. And you will be getting a feeling of it coming and coming. Now, as I said, there's a lot of uncertainty around this month for all of the signs, because we do have Mars very close by degree to Neptune all month, but especially the first half of the month. So in the first half of the month in particular, and it all depends on where your Sun is by degree and other planets, right? So this is very general. This'll impact some people far more than it will others. By the way, this new moon, I should have said, if you happen to know where your Sun or your Moon or your rising sign degree is, or indeed any other planet or important point, if it's between around about 15 to 23 degrees, it can be a little bit more or less either side, then you would be benefiting indeed, because it's a neutral energy being having the programming in from Uranus, Pluto and Saturn. So it's a kind of a nice mix, really, because that's change energy, that's energy of which can be a little bit kind of reacting to circumstances energy, but then it's got this deep stability underlying if you tap into it. So yes, Mars is close by degree to Neptune. So that can mean uncertainty, even confusion, a lack of confidence when making decisions, taking actions. It can also mean you're being more of service, you're putting your own desires on one side, just for the time being, because you've got to be there for another or others. This is also a stitch in time saving 9, that kind of idea, So before a problem comes barreling it up to from the future to bite you, you want to get ahead of it with maybe some of this maintenance idea. So Mars over Neptune, the degree of Neptune, can mean that others are putting themselves out more for you, and you feel that. You feel, oh my God, that I've got to try and get the best out of this, or I've got to try and be quick, or you might be saying that to yourself, because I know how he, she, they are kind of just holding it together for me, sort of thing. But it might not be like that at all, but there's an example. Okay, so there's that going on, and that's across the board worldwide. So this element of confusion, where's the truth here? What's really going on? Because Neptune does like its secrets, and so does Scorpio as well. Okay, and then we have, so this might be a little bit of confusion over, I don't quite know where my boundaries are regarding finances, property, space, inside, outside, possessions. It might be like that, or it might not be. It might be different. It might be to do with work. It might be to do with health. It might be a little bit like that. So intuiting, I would say, with Mars, Neptune. Okay, and not making any dramatic decisions, maybe until that's passed over. But then, of course, we come straight on into Jupiter and Neptune, and that is in all month, but more the second half. So as Mars Neptune begins to wane, Jupiter Neptune comes in. That's idealistic Jupiter with dreamy Neptune. Okay, so a reality check is needed. There can again be this uncertainty and confusion, and that's reinforced, trying to separate the real from the ideal. Who is really going to be useful here? What is really going to be useful here? Whose ideology should I believe? Or, whose style of teaching and, plugging something or promoting something should I really take on board, you see? So there's that going on. But obviously, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, then it's, you know, then it's a duck. On the other hand, you yourself could be channeling this energy more and trying to be all things for all people, or superhuman, you know, where when a warts and all human will do nicely, thank you. In fact, probably a lot better. I mean, look what goes viral on the internet. So, and then at the same time as this is going on, we have Jupiter in a hard angle to Saturn. I feel like I'm giving an astrology lesson here, but and I don't know whether I'm, you know, that qualified to be giving an astrology lesson, even, other than that I've been doing it for over 40 years. So I guess I am, yeah. So with Jupiter and Saturn, again, we get this stability, but also you get limiting circumstances. Now, that doesn't necessarily have to be a prison cell. You know, that can be within the rules, or within the parameters of these conditions, or within these walls, or, you know, within some kind of structured kind of, you know, fortress. I mean, that's the idea, you know, but a kind of I don't want to say cage, but yeah, a structure, a construct. Okay, so, and within that, there can be learning, there can be freedom, there can be options, right? Because the thing about this one is, if you are cautiously optimistic and you just follow through with something which you feel as though, because remember, those progressive trends is going to progress your life and maybe way on into the future, because Saturn does rule time. It's not only about the distant past, it's also about the distant future as well, in a way. Then if you're cautiously moving forward with a plan, with a project, with a venture, you and take any opportunity to learn, to broaden, you know, through education, maybe even broaden your horizons as well, travel as well, or whatever, then you're likely to be successful. Now, then late months, we've got transiting Uranus and transiting Pluto and transiting Venus all coming across each other, because so that can mean be a meaningful connection with someone, you know, something that really does touch you, your heart. Also, you can be the one that's touching somebody's heart as well. You might feel as though there's a little bit of a, maybe, in some cases, a little bit of a power control thing going on. Can be a little bit like that. Ups and downs, or a changing environment related to somebody close to you. But overall, and this is very fleeting, by the way, this transit here, overall it's a very progressive phase in relationship. But watch out for that, you know, that confusion, that uncertainty, which is you know, a general aspect that's going on here across, you know, globally. Right, so chores and niggly details, as I've been saying, Mercury focusing your mind on the practical aspects of life, and Venus in a pretty sociable kind of mood. She is in a quite playful place, actually. Yeah, to do with children for some of you, to do with the leisure industry, maybe to do with competitive stuff, to do with just hanging out with the people you like, and feeling empowered by what you're doing. And whatever you're doing, whether it's, you know, so-called official fun, or whether it's just something you get a lot out of with people you get you know, value from, whatever that is. And then we have Venus. Well, first of all, we got Mercury moving into your opposite sign, so that's very useful, and that'll be for the rest of the month. That's from the 6th, so that'll be very useful for like getting the information you need from another one-to-one, and also and so a lot about communications, bouncing ideas around, sharing ideas, comparing notes, looking for the guidance, getting the guidance. They're getting the guidance from you, you're getting the guidance from them. It could be like that. Venus then moves from this area to do with creativity, speculative ventures, children, and you feeling empowered. In from the 6th moves into a very practical area, co-workers, teamwork there. That's until the end of the month and on into May. Daily chores, training, you using old skills, you learning new ones, and also about health matters as well for some of you. Now, all month Mars is demanding you put more effort and decisiveness in towards material security. So that'll be the piggy bank, that'll be the property, that'll be renting, leasing, buying, selling, borrowing, lending, possessions. That'll be anything, any asset in a material sense that you need to cultivate, protect, improve upon. So you have an eye to how to improve these things and being quite dynamically active with that. Mars can help you to be more dynamically using your inborn assets and talents and skills as well. Well, skills that's a talent. Hopefully, that is an inborn talent that you've just sharpened up into a skill and hung a couple of certificates on the wall, maybe, I don't know. But with Mars there for such a long time, Mars has actually just come out of your sign. So you should be quite revved up with the Mars energy, because the Mars energy has been in and around your sign for quite a while. Mars came out of there in early March. So if you listen to this in mid-March, yeah, it's just recently come out of your sign and gone into this very practical area to do with protecting interests, and improving on capitalizing on things, resources of various kinds, whether that's money, equipment, whatever it is. So putting more effort and decisiveness into there. Now, remember what I said about the uncertainty, the kind of, I don't know whether this is worth it, or I don't think I've got enough of the information to know whether I should make the decision to implement this plan. You see, it's a little bit like that. But use that famous gut instinct, Scorpio, and you should be fine. The Sun is moving on the 20th into a partnership area, so you're feeling supported and giving support to another there and exchanging information. Saturn is also in this area to do with the piggy bank and property matters, and gradually this side of things is taking shape. You Scorpios born the 5th to the 9th of November, or 14 to 17 degrees rising, going to feel that energy the most. And also Jupiter is in a very fortunate angle to your sun sign all the way through until September, helping you to grow and learn through new associations, new contacts, new friendships, or within a collective. The hive mind, the collective of those who have a particular subject in common, and you can do quite well out of that through, you're growing and you're expanding, but also, lucratively as well, financially as well, and you will feel enabled by others, but others will also be there to be facilitating for you. Maybe they come to you for something that you can offer. Scorpio Sun, Scorpio rising, those of you with 12 degrees rising or born 3rd to the 8th of November are going to feel that the most over this forecast period. And that's it for April. If you know your rising sign or your moon sign, listen to those. And also this is written up on DianaGarland.com, or the bones of it anyway, and I'll see you the next time.